I grew up being called stupid, useless, waste of space, and I actually started to believe it. Not in the way that you think, like I was actually believing I'm stupid, but it was ingrained in me. It created invisible limitations that I didn't even know I placed on myself.
Hi friends, just to let you know that the microphone is a little bit unstable, so there is some movement and some noise from time to time, but the message is still clear as day.
Hi, I'm Edlyn France, and welcome to my channel where we discuss all things relationships, self love, and most importantly, reclaiming your power. Now, I'm going to be sharing stories about my childhood, my upbringing, some things that I've been through in life, but I'm not going to share who, what, and where. I'm just going to share what I can because obviously, if I'm talking about my life, I have family members, I have friends, and I don't want to name names and I want to keep it as vague as possible, but I want the message and the lessons to be clear. I grew up in a situation where I was constantly insulted. I was 100% emotionally abused, and I was definitely physically abused also. And I was often called stupid, useless, waste of space. These terms are so detrimental to children. They are so harsh and they can leave lasting effects that you don't even know are there. I don't think I ever realized how much I was affected by these words. In my head, I used to be, responding, insulting back, really going for them in my head. And I thought that was enough to make me feel like I had released, but it wasn't. I had internalized so much of these phrases, so much of what I was told about myself, and it became part of my negative self talk. Underlined underneath doubt, fear, was that same voice telling me, you're useless, you're a waste of space, you're stupid. You start to believe it without even realizing you're believing it. And it makes me emotional now because, number one, it's actually sad that anybody would make anyone feel like that, let alone children feel like that. And I don't often feel sorry for myself because I've had to be so strong in my life. So when I say that out loud, I'm like actually sad for that little girl because she didn't deserve it. And there's a lot of pride also in how far I've come. I'm gonna have to take a minute. Wow. Yeah. It's just sad. I need to be like Candace with her cry angle. That really impacted my adolescence, and all the way through to adulthood. It impacted relationships. I often found myself trying to hang on to friendships, trying to force friendships, trying to find friendships, rather than just allowing them to come to me. I often found myself trying to force relationships, trying to force guys to see me or want to be with me. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't short of attention, but I definitely wanted more, and I craved to be loved. I craved to be appreciated. I craved positive self reflection from others because I had that underlying negative self talk. But I didn't realize I was doing it until later in life when I did my self reflection. Self reflection and reclaiming your power. That is so important. I believe everyone needs to go through a journey of self reflection because there is so much in your childhood that creates traumas that you bring into adulthood. Now, I used to hear this before and I used to be like, oh my God, that's, yeah, sure, whatever. I never ever related with anybody who spoke about their childhood bringing traumas into their adulthood. And I think it was a way of me not facing my truth. I think it was a way of me pushing back on, the things I had been through so that I didn't deal with it. And once I hit a certain stage in life where I definitely needed therapy and I got some, I realized that a lot of my childhood traumas were left undealt with. I realized that a lot of the things I went through in childhood created traumas that are in my adult life. And if I don't face it and I don't look at it and work on it and discover it and understand it, I could never be free of it. I didn't really realize that I had this negative self perception of myself. I didn't think that. I felt quite confident. I would walk into a room and I would definitely command it. I felt quite brave and quite free and quite, free spirited. So I didn't really realize. It wasn't until looking back at events that happened through my 20s, leading up to my 30s, that's when I realized that I had some traumas that have been embedded in me and have caused certain outcomes. I spent a large portion of my life in a relationship that didn't serve me. And I will get into that in another video. But the fact of the matter is, I remember constantly a voice telling me, I can't do any better. I'm not worth it. And that voice allowed me to stay in something that wasn't serving me and that was actually hurting me physically and emotionally. I've also found myself in positions where I've allowed others to speak to me in a way that doesn't sit well with me, that goes against my boundaries. And that are also probably triggers because of how I've been spoken to before. But because in those situations, when I was younger and I was told I was useless and stupid and a waste of space, I couldn't speak up. I wasn't in a position to speak up. I feel that I took that into a certain period of my 20s where I would allow people to say something to me or to treat me a certain way. And I felt that I couldn't speak up. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not afraid of confrontation and I've never been afraid of confrontation, but it was always a 0 to 100. There was no in between where I could just speak. It was always either I say nothing or you're seeing a monster. There was no in between. And that's not a way to live. I remember there was a situation where someone that I worked with was talking, we were having a conversation, and they they called me the B word. And in that moment, I didn't think it was necessary. We aren't friends like that, number one. And it wasn't in a way that felt like it was a joke. And it really affected me. But it affected me because of two reasons. Number one, because it was inappropriate. But number two was because I had untreated traumas. I had had a life where I had been spoken to in such a way that I could never speak up. And now I felt like I wanted to speak up, but I was too angry. So no matter what I did, it was going to be a harsh delivery. Situations like that is what made me realize that I had traumas that I really needed to work on and that I needed to reclaim my power. Reclaiming your power works similar but differently in so many areas of your life. The first step to reclaiming your power is to identify those traumas. Go to therapy, journal, do that self-work, discover what makes you tick, discover what traumas you have that are affecting your adult life. Discover yourself and work on healing those spaces. Work on developing those skills that allow you to tackle the traumas that you've been through, because we all have traumas. It's all about understanding how to heal those traumas. But in order to heal them, you need to understand them. So you have to do that work to discover what they are, where they come from, and why they affect you, and what you can do to overcome it. The second step is replacing negative self-talk with positive affirmations or positive actions. Now, for me, I'm not a positive affirmation girl. I can't look in the mirror and say, you're so beautiful and stuff like that. It's just not for me. So I think you need to find your thing. My thing is buying myself some beautiful flowers. My thing is going out to nice dinners, getting my nails done, and making myself feel like I'm worth it so that I can tell myself that I'm worth it. Find your thing. Find the thing that makes you feel like you're worth it. Find that thing that makes you feel empowered and makes you feel like, yes, I am a badass. I'm not useless. I am worth it. And I'm definitely not stupid. Step 3 would be to build a positive circle around you. I am so big on building positive circles around yourself. Make sure that the people in your circle are supportive, they hold you accountable, because somebody needs to tell you when you're doing this or you're doing this. Someone needs to know you and be able to tell you that things aren't looking right, or you might have to work on this, or I'm concerned about this. If friends can't hold you up on that, that's an issue. And if you can't receive it, that's another issue. So make sure you're surrounded by people who hold you accountable, but who are positive, who support you, who love you, who make you laugh, who respect you. It's not about quantity when it comes to friendship. A friend to many is a friend to none. The 4th step would be create boundaries. And I always say this to my clients, you create boundaries by showing people. If something's not for you, don't be there anymore. Let your absence be your boundary. Let your absence speak 1,000 words. And when it is time to speak, learn how to say no. No, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to do that. No, thank you. I'd rather not. Please don't talk to me that way. That makes me feel uncomfortable. Yes, you do owe me that money. Respect my boundaries. I recently was in a situation where I had to pay for something for someone. Now, this was in a business-ish setting. It was kind of a blurred line because it was a very, very new type of friendship, but it was all under a work business environment. And I ended up paying for something which was under £20. However, I knew that I needed to make sure that they don't think that my position is to pay for anything, because it isn't in this particular business situation. So I had to make sure that I was paid back. I had to remind this person not once, not twice, but 3 times to pay me back. And when they finally did, they said to me, sorry, I didn't know it was such a big deal because it was only the amount, which was under £20. I wanted to say a lot back, like, grow up, but I decided not to. I kept it short and sweet and I said, thank you. When it comes to expenses, I like to deal with them promptly. Simple as that. So I now know that this person, number one, won't be taking money from me when they don't need to. But number two, that when it comes to expenses and when it comes to the business side of things, they will have my money back promptly. In the past, what I would have done is not say anything, dwell on it, fight with it. I'd be having arguments in my head with the person. You show people how to treat you by moving in the way that you want to be treated. You speak up when you need to speak up, and you show action when you need to show action. And the last step with removing that negative self-talk and reclaiming your power would be to build on your skills. Become better at whatever you want to become better at. Learn a new skill, get smarter, read books, invest in yourself so that you know that you are worth it. Whatever you want to do, grow your skills and become better. Never stop learning. It's not only good for your self-worth and self-confidence, but it's also good for your brain. It allows your brain to stay active and stay youthful for a longer period of time. And in the world where dementia and all of this stuff is rife, learning and building and using your brain is so important. Look, life is not easy. If you're anything like me and you grew up in a place where you were told you're not worth it, it's going to be even harder. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. And I'm telling you and I'm telling me because I still have moments where I just don't recognize how far I've come. Sometimes just stop and recognize how far you have come, but also recognize if you can go further. I have a task for you. Write down one thing, one piece of advice that you would tell your younger self, and look in the mirror and read that out and ask yourself honestly, have you tackled this? Have you achieved this? Have you become this? If not, that's your first step. That's your first piece of thing to work on. Just make sure that you surround yourself with people who are not going to contribute to how hard life is, who are not going to contribute to that voice in your head, because we all have that voice in our head that tells us we're not good enough sometimes, that imposter. But make sure you're not having any other additional voices, because I know I can't handle that. And if you have voices from the past, go to therapy, get a life coach, and work through it. I hope you liked the video, and I really hope that it helps you to reclaim your power and fight negative self-talk. And if you have any other tips that can help our friends to fight that negative self-talk and reclaim power, please leave it in the comments below. This is a learning platform. It's a place where I want to learn, I want you to learn. Let's just all learn and grow together. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. And until next time, bye friends.